Okay, g'day. Hi and welcome to the first video of Hubble. Now, I'm using incognito mode today. I prefer that just because there's nothing cached. I'm not dealing with any old rubbish in the files. I can also see the speed when it loads up for the first time. Now, I'm going to log in as a test user called test user 60, mainly because this user is going to be nice and clean. Now, just to kind of give you a background of what Hubble is basically console in the web. Okay, so it's primarily at this point in time a viewer application. So there's some additional bells and whistles on top that are designed in order to give it a social experience. So the first thing that happens when you go into Hubble as a new user is that you're presented with welcome to Hubble. So you click start, and what it's after is information associated with your user. So I'm going to say that this is my load test 60 because that's what I've been using it for, and the last name is also load test 60. I keep it very basic. Now I want to change the photo that everyone sees for this, so I click on change photo, I click browse, let's go to my pictures, and what do we got here? Cool. I've got an image of an ugly dog. I quite like my ugly dog. There's my ugly dog. First bug of the day, my those shouldn't be removed, but we'll log that later. The goal is to include, for example, if I actually let's remove that. It's very key that first name and last name are populated. They're used throughout the system. Not your email address, not your JDE or EBS user, but the underlying one. Okay? So I could enter in all these details. My recommendation just for testing is that you definitely set your language, because that's quite important in terms of just display. I'm Australia, I'm going to set to English Australia, and your time zone as well, because that will influence which dates are being presented to you in terms of the interface. So underneath the hood everything is standard time, but well, I want to see it the way that I'm used to. Now I can populate all these fields here, but I don't need to, so I'm going to click next. The next thing that I do is I start to talk about who do I work with. Now I'm going to say that I work with this guy called Aaron Mackay. This person I report to. Okay. Then I've also got other people within the team. So I'm going to say here that this person reports to me, and then another fake user that I've set up here, I'm going to say that this person is in the same department. Okay, now this influences later who you follow in terms of activity, so it's kind of useful to populate it. The next thing here is that we've gone for a generic approach of saying that these are 4 different modules, so I'm going to say that I'm very interested in GL and not very interested in anything else. We also have a new concept called tags, and tags are assigned to, for example, reports and other things within Hubble. So I can tag a discussion or approval workflow, things that you'll come across later. So I'm going to say here I'm interested in general ledger, anything to do with global. So I click next. Now what this does is it starts looking across the entire repository for things that I should be interested in. In this sense here, it's got 25 lists, which are kind of reports or inquiries in the old school method. You've got charts, metrics, groups, and people. So if I scroll down here, I can see the various things that I will be signed up for. So it's gone ahead and by default ticked anything with 5 stars, but I probably just want to see if I can follow a few other things as well. So I'll scroll down here and I say that yes, I want to follow these people. There are groups within the system that I also want to follow. And let's turn on, you notice how anything with 5 stars? I'll turn on those as well, just to kind of show how it works. And you can also reduce the amount of data that you see by going and using the relevance filter. So all of this is kind of based on the reports, which modules they are in, etc. Okay, and I can cycle through by clicking on this. There's also some functionality here, but that's currently broken on this build. It allows me to select or unselect. So I click finish. So this is the hub. Now the hub for a new user is fairly basic. Okay, you can see here that it's currently in summary mode, but what I might do is I'm going to switch it now to detail mode. Okay, now if I don't want to see it in detail mode, I can always switch back by clicking on the little refresh icon down the bottom there. Note how it's put it in custom because I'm now seeing custom, so I could have summary all, detail all, or custom. Okay, now right now I'm following 3 users. I don't have any news coming through whatsoever. No tasks. Looks like I've got a discussion. There's a few discussions that are currently occurring, which we'll come back to later. I can also see that this was not the first time I logged in, but the second time. I was just testing that prior to starting this up. Okay, the interface in itself is designed so that you log on here, and this gives you an indication of what are the active objects within your system. So if, for example, I had received a notification or a discussion and I hadn't read it, these would be shown up here. Like I have 5 unread discussions. I have no personal messages. I've logged in 2 times, 0 hours at this point in time, following 3 people. Okay, so on the side here, I have a little pop-out panel. Just be aware of the little dots. For a smaller resolution, this can pop out and be quite annoying sometimes, but you've got the ability to come back to the hub, which is where we're at right now, any workspaces, of which I have none currently, and bookmarks. So if I've got anything that's bookmarked, it will show in there, and naturally log out. Okay, so let's go and have a look here at my user. So just to continue just the brief overview. So my user in itself, I can see here that my user has been, these are all the recommendations that were suggested to me earlier that I ticked. So a few reports, a few charts, metrics, groups, and I'm following a few users. Now I can expand this further if I want to by doing this. So right now I can see that it's a very basic login. I have 2 logins. My productivity, collaboration, networking is pretty good. Productivity and collaboration are very young because, frankly, I haven't done anything yet. Networking is relatively good in comparison to the other people in the server, so hence I'm getting a nice big strong bar. These are low bars. This is usage, that's basically based on the average. Note here I can change my photo again. If I had populated my address details, they would be up here. So again, just the information that I'm associated with. Okay, very basic kind of stuff. So I can click back again to the hub. So the next part we'll discuss workspaces, but for the now I'll save this as generic overview.